నేను ఇప్పుడు ఏమైనా ఆపితే అదే చూపిస్తా.
ఇది ఒరిజినల్ సార్ అవసరం డైరెక్ట్ యాప్ లో ఉంటది కదా మన వీళ్ళది టీ యాప్ ఏదో ఉంటది
ఏం వేరేటా?
ఆ, ఆ. అన్ని మన డ్రైవింగ్ లైసెన్స్ సహా ఉంటది అప్పుడు లెక్క మనం మాన్యువల్గా తీసుకోవాల్సి
నేను అప్పటికి ఇది వచ్చిందండి ఆన్లైన్ మీరు ఎక్కడ పని పెట్టండి. ఇంకా మంచిగా మనం పెట్టాలి కదా, కనీసం చూసుకోలేం కదా వాళ్ళు.
Welcome to the dynamic
అదే
learning
కానీ
hub
మీ
of
అమ్మకి ఇక్కడ
Andheri
చూసుకుంటుంది.
East. A prime spot conveniently located at just a 5-minute walk from LIC Andheri Metro.
ఘోరం అసలు బిడ్డ అంటే అక్కడ ఉన్నవాళ్ళు బిడ్డలు.
In our journey of over a decade, we have proudly trained over 2 lakh
ఇక
students.
చెప్తూ మారంటారు. ఐదు బిడ్డలు ఒక బిడ్డలు రాదు.
We've also been recognized by Deloitte, Silicon India, and other accreditation bodies.
పాప వాళ్ళ చుక్కడు
Experience learning like never before in our spacious and comfortable classrooms. With high-definition projectors and state-of-the-art acoustics in place, we ensure effective learning even to the farthest point of the room. The hybrid mode is a game changer as you can enjoy the benefits of a light classroom from the comfort of your home. Even if you happen to miss any classroom session, you can still attend the same session with the same trainer at the same time at your convenience, maintaining consistency in your learning progress. Wanna get started? Join us for a demo or career chat over a cup of coffee at our Andheri branch.
మాకు మొన్న ముసలానికి అయితే మేము హాస్పిటల్ అర్థం కాక హాస్పిటల్
Being trained, we build career.
అక్కడ తీసుకుపోయిన తల్లి అంటే సార్ మా వాటిలో పైసలు జరుగుతాయి కానీ మొన్న మామూలు సార్ వాళ్ళే పని వచ్చింది వాడు పైసలు వాళ్ళు కదా బాగా పంపుతుంది పైసలు మా అబ్బాయికి వాళ్ళు గేమ్ పంపడం ఆయనకి చూసుకున్నాడు అది పంపిస్తా
So the collaboration with XLR was an excellent one. We conducted a Power BI workshop with advanced Excel over a span of 3 days. The workshop was almost 12 hours long in total. Mr. Karthik was an amazing trainer, helped the students understand the concepts. I am sure that the students will be able to apply these concepts in their careers as well as their daily life.
Trainer Mr. Karthik was an excellent person where he explained in very detailed manner on how to give great insights using very complex data sets.
It was a machine learning workshop. We learned a lot from the course, and it was a great experience attending the workshop.
The trainer was very helpful. He had a hands-on approach with his teaching, and it was fabulous.
This was a great experience for me. So I would absolutely love it if XLR and its team would come again to our campus and conduct more events like this.
ఇంటి సాగు మొత్తం మీద పట్టుకోవాలి అట్లా కలిగి సాగు మొత్తం మన ఆర్డర్ బుక్ కనీసం ఇంటి పట్టుకొని సార్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ కండిషన్ పట్టుకున్న కండిషన్ బాగుంటుంది.
And it started from basics and took me to a great extent.
The experience of the workshop was really nice. The feedback from all the students was positive. They understood the concept. The workshop was also practical based with some questions. The experience with XLR was very smooth. They helped us in conducting the workshop smoothly, right from the booking of the vendor and deciding the course till the distribution of certificates. In overall, this workshop was a success during our technical fest Atmos, and I thank XLR for being a part of it.
అవన్నీ డిస్కస్ బాబాయ్ ఉంటాయి చెప్పండి అమ్మ చూసి కూడా ఇచ్చేది ఉంటాను జనరేషన్ ఎడిపోతుంది అసలు మరి ఘోరంగా. ఆయన ఒప్పుకుంటే ఉండొచ్చు కదా.
Good evening, all. I hope you're all doing well. Okay, we'll start the
Ma'am, you're
session.
audible right now.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You can start the session, sir.
Good evening to all of you. Am I audible to all of you right now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you. So in the last class, guys, we talk about the particular, if you remember correctly, we talk about the DML operation. We are done with the SOQL and we also talk about DML, like how the insertion part goes. So let me just reopen my Salesforce OR and let me just retry to show you the code which we write yesterday. So let me just open the tab first. Just give me a second, I'm sharing the screen. Okay, let me share it. Okay, so let me just open the debugger console and then we are going to start the session where we left. So open and the new tab. Okay, so in the last class we talked about the DML statement. Let me rewrite the DML statement. Talk here. So the DML statement which we talked in the last class is the statement which was used for inserting account. Like if you see the first statement here, it was used for inserting one single account. So here you can see what we created. What first here you can see we need to create a account which was going to insert. So here account is the data type, or you can say the account is basically your data type. After this, we are creating a new instance of the account, if you remember correctly here. So here I'm doing nothing, I'm just creating a new instance for the account, or you can say the account object, which was already in we have in our particular Salesforce. So here I want to create a new instance of the account object. So how you're going to create the new instance, I think everybody already familiar. First of all, you need to write the object name or the class name, or even if you want to create an object for a particular object like a database, we're also able to create. So here we create a new instance for the account, usually account, then ACC is the name equal to new account, and here we pass some information like CLR inputted, and in the place of CLR inputted, this time I'm going to pass a new value like XLR solutions. Okay. Now in the place of this, I'm passing XLR solution, and here in the place of phone number, I'm passing a new value. Let's suppose pass a new value like 0000000. So these are the value which I pass here. Now here, if you see this section, when I created the new instance of this account, I need to fill some values. Now, what are these values actually? So if you come here again, let me share this tab. So what I did here, I just created an instance of the account object, which was available in my Salesforce org. So if I click here, view all, here you will find this account object here, this. Now when I open this account object, here you can see this account object has multiple fields. Like right now, here you're saying, you see, these are the basic accounts which we see in the last class, how these are run. Now if I click on the new, or here you have import to option. So now if I click on new, here you see in account we have these type of information like account name, parent account, account number, account site, and I'm just specifying these values. So now if you come here and if I share this tab, so here what we are doing, we are passing a value name and we are passing a value phone in the account object. So this is what was happening, and we are passing these values. So now we have two options. Either we pass value directly by using just insert is. So if I just remove this line, you don't need to understand about this, what was this right now. So if I just don't remove this line, what I did, I will just simply create an account object, and using this account object, I will pass this value, this name XLR solution, and phone this will be. Now if I try to execute this, here you can see what I write, insert. So insert is basically a DML statement, or you can say a data manipulation language statement, which was available in SQL. And you can directly use this statement by their name, which is insert. And after this, you need to write the object name which you created for the particular table. So here ACC was created for this particular account. Highlighted. You can see everything was executed successfully. But if you come on the debugger section, you will not able to see any information or any piece of information. That's why, because we are not actually printing here. Now guys, if you come on here on the, just close this debugger section and just scroll a little bit down. Here comes the main part and which you need to see. Right now you see the number of DML statements, means the data modification or manipulation language statement is 1 out of 150, means you are only allowed to execute total 150 insert operation or 150 DML statement in a debugger console or in Apex programming. More than 150 DML statement was not going to execute. So it was going to say that we already executed one statement out of 150. Number of publisher made any. Number of DML rows created from your particular statement. So whatever statement you are giving, there are some rows created. So when I run this thing, I'll just create one rows using this DML statement out of 10,000, and here's the maximum limit you can. So you need to see those two values. Now here comes what is the output of this thing. So for output, if you come on this section, this particular tab, here you can see if I again go on the all account, here right now you see we don't have actually any account. But if I just refresh this page, I'm able to see the account which is just pushed inside here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on this section, refresh, and here you see we get one value, XLR solution, and the phone number 000, which we just push here using our developer console and this particular method, insert ACC. Now after this, we have one more way to do the same by using the reference name. For example, here if I ACC, now this is the actually object name, and I can use this object name to also put the value like this, ACC dot rating. Now here what is this rating actually? So let me just come again on this screen and show you. So if I share this tab and just click on new again and want to see all the fields in account, either you can see directly by here or you can go to the developer setup menu and from object or objects You can go and check out all the fields of account. So I'm not going there. I'm just going to see this here. So right now here you can see we have rating. So right now I'm just going to specify rating. And here you can see rating different things, like hot. I'm also going to specify one more thing is this ownership. And from this, I'm going to pass here public. So what I'm going to do here, I just again need to come to the developers. And here you can see we write acc.rating equal to hot. So just copy this line once again. And here if I just rewrite this one, okay, and this time instead of rating, I'm going to write ownership, acc.ownership. And now this particular term is going to specify that particular thing, ownership. And in the place of what I need to pass public. Okay, so this part of code is here done. Now, if this time if I try to execute this, what was going to happen? Here, we are able to also insert a new data in the database, which has these two values also, which you don't specify on the first line. So you have two options. You can use the object name and then dot, and after the dot, you need to write the field name where you want to specify or push a data. You can just specify the data, the field name, and after that, using a equal to sign, you can specify. After doing this, what you need to do, you need to call the function, which will be this insert ACC. So when you call this insert ACC, all of this data was going to export. But you need to remember one thing. If you want to add 10 values or 10 different things in a particular database, first you need to write all the 10 values, and after writing all the 10 values, you need to call this method or this insert ACC method. Because if you call this method at this place, this ACC ownership equal to public is not going to insert because it was going to work in a hierarchical order. So after third line, this line will execute, and the fourth line actually execute, not execute. It was just only created but not executed. Now if this time if I try to execute this, and I'm going to change from XLR solution to only XLR and change the number from this to 1. Okay. And this time you see we also specifying the rating and ownership. So now if this time if I try to execute only the highlighted area, if I just click on this and click on execute highlighted, you can see again here we get an error here that this variable does not exist, which is ownership. And you face this problem because sometimes if you just make a small mistake of this particular things, you're going to get this information. So I'm just going to copy this ownership again. Coming on here, a small mistake will be going to make problem sometimes. So when you're specifying the field number, you need to clear that whatever you are specifying is correct. Now this will be work properly. Let's copy extract. Now this time the code was executed successfully. So when you are trying to insert data like this, you need to focus one thing that whatever field name you're giving is right thing, because if it has a spelling mistake or anything, it is not good. Now if this time if you come down here, you will say something different. Now here you can see we are again executing one statement and we are again creating one rows. But here you see we actually pushing two data. So it doesn't matter either you push two data, three data, four data, five data, whatever. But it was always going to execute one statement if you write insert here. So if you push here 15 data, it was always going to say that one DML statement was executed. Now let's come to our Salesforce and see that this data was actually saved here or not. So if I share this tab this time, here you can see and cut it here and refresh this again. Here you can see now we get XLR and here we get this. Now if we just open this account, if I just click on this XLR, here I'm able to see this information. Now if I just scroll bit a little down, here you can click on the details. And when you click on details, here you can see we see the rating which is hot, which is specified, and the ownership is public, which we already specified. And this is how we are able to store different data. Now the question is here where we are actually using these things. So see, sometime what was actually happening, we actually don't put data using this, using in the developer console, creating new. What we did, we create different lists. Like we created a rating list, rating map hot. Then we created a phone like a map, using a map, a fax map, a website with a map like collections. We created different maps for all of this. Why we are creating map? Because map is a key value pair and we use a single key for all maps and different values for this. Like I can use a ID for a single map and first name account name will be the value. Then ID, then parent account will be ID account number. And I created different maps and what I create a function. So whenever a user give his name, ID was automatically created and the name was associated. So now if I have 20 maps and in 20 maps I have same ID and 20 different value, I can directly insert all the data of the 20 IDs in my database using that map. I don't need to write all the code line by line. What I just do, I need to come my developer screen and I'm just going to create a method which was going to help. And right now I'm going to also show you which we already created yesterday a method. Let me just show you the method. If I just open, if I click on open and if I click on classes, here you can see this is the insert data classes which we just created yesterday, which has the same thing. Here you can see this is used for inserting a list in account. So this particular method which we created is used for inserting a list in the account. This was used inserting a record in the account. Now many of you are thinking what is the difference between a list in and a record. So see, a list is a value where record is something different. So there's a very common, a very small difference between list and record, which you need to focus because if you don't understand this thing, and then it was going to be a little bit complicated for you. Let me give you. So see, list is actually having a see in data manipulation or in the context of Salesforce apps, if we talk about list and records, they are different things. Isn't it? So record this refer to individual instance of data typically represent as like the S object which you created. This is for when performing DML operation whatever is individual. And list is a different like record is something different and list is something different. List you are going to create where a record was already available in our S objects or objects like account object leaderboard. These values are known as record and the list is known as which you created. So here we created two functions. First is the list which was going to store all the data of a list in an account tab. Then second we have a function which we are going to insert records in it. Like if you want to store the records of suppose a different object like a lead object into account, we are going to use this function. Why? Here if you see this body of this function, which I'm just trying to say, it will say this function is static function and it was the data type of this function is actually account. Just once again. Just open again. Okay. So what I'm trying to tell you that this is a public method, static keyword, which is used for calling this method without writing the class name. You can directly name the function, or you can say the I'm sorry, without creating the instance of the class. You can directly call this using the class. After this, if you see, this is the method name which is inserted, and what this was going to do. Sorry, guys. So what this method is actually doing. So it was taking a parameter, an account. This account is a data type right now, which was referring to the account of, and here is the name, which will be account insert. And what we did here we perform two things. First, we perform an insert operation like insert account dot insert, and then we are return. So in the place of account, you need to specify a record type or record like you can specify account, you can specify lead or anything, and it was going to insert that data into the particular account object. Here, like the same, you have the get all accounts number, print all accounts, and history. So the main function is these two, which was used for inserting a value in the list. Now let's come to our main topic here. See this. Now after this thing, we have one more way to add some. Like what? You can create a list of accounts, and then you just simply pass all the values to it. Like here, you can see I created a list which is named as account. After this, it is accounts here, and it is data type of accounts. Remember, here we are using account object as a data type. You can also use account object as a data type. Even you use class as a data type. So here, if you see, we are using list as account object, and here this is already written. And the name is here accounts. After this, we created the new instance of this list using the new keyword. And here inside this list, what we did, we pass four different values. Like here, you can see account ECC1, ECC2, ECC3, 4, equal to new account name, and here we are passing. This time I'm just going to change from test account one to is just here. Because here I'm changing from 2 to 5, 3 to 4, 4, 7. So what was actually happening here? Here you can see first what I did. We write here a basic sorry. We are actually passing these values, this ACC1, and these are first we created different values like account, the particular list name, then the name of the account, or the you can say this particular ACC1. If you study the correctly the particular list section, you remember clearly we created account ECC1. This is our object equal to new account, and inside this we are passing this thing. Like this, we created four different things, and we passed these values. And if you see, we are actually using this object, this ACC object. So we created five different objects, and we are passing five different values. And then what we did, we adding these values, accounts values inside this account. Account.add and like this. Here option like how you're going to insert all this list of accounts. For this, you need to write this insert account. In the previous you see, we are actually inserting this object, this ACC. So when I just write ACC, I'm only able to insert all the ACC information. Like this ACC1, ACC2, ACC3, ACC4, 5 will not going to insert when you write a object. But if you want to insert a list of accounts, first you need to create a list of accounts, you need to pass all the way. And after that, you need to call that particular thing insert and the list name, which is the account. Now, when you run this thing, everything is going to work same. But rather than adding a single account, this time we are able to add different accounts. So now, if I try to execute these piece of code, let's see what. Let me just copy this thing. And if I click on execute, highlight this here. Again, our code was executed successfully. And now, if I just scroll a little bit down, you can see here the DML logs. So a little bit more. Yeah. And here you can see this time there was two statements was executed and 6 rows was created. Now why this was actually happening? So if I open my tab again, here you can see this is the first DML statement executed and this is the second statement executed. So that's how we are getting two DML statements. Also, let's say that 6 rows was created because these are the 5 rows which was created through this, and these are the first record which was created using this thing. So there are total 6 records was creating inside this field. Now, if I come again on this section and say this tab, and if I again come on the accounts here, let me come on that's accounts, and here come on recent records. Let me just scroll a little bit down. So now here you see we are already see all the accounts created, which is 57, 44, 34, 25, and 88, and these are the records which we just created by using a list. If you just refresh this, we are able to see all of these records which was created here. And this is how this particular insert thing was going to work. And this is very useful. Also, you have one more way to do this. Like this, you can see this is DML functions or method. After this, you have one more thing, which is DML statement. Now, these are the DML method, but these are DML statement, or you can say. So what you did, you can just write database.insert and then a bracket, and here you can give two values. The first will be the value, or you can say the account. After this, you need to give here a secondary value or boolean value. Now, this is going to work properly. It was also going to insert the same data, but here comes a twist. Suppose in this, if you make any problem, like if you make any problem in any line, or suppose this particular piece of insertion is not going to happen. So what was going to happen when you use this insert account? All of the transaction was failed or rollback. Means none of them data was actually executed or stored in the database. But if you use this database.insert function, what was going to happen? If here you specify false or true. If you specify false, then if there was a single mistake occur in the query, everything is going to be not stored in the data. But if you specify this false to true, what was going to happen? At that time, if you have any single problem like any line, that line was actually terminated, and after that all the other line will start executing. And this is a very good feature when you're using this database.insert, and when you are handling a very large amount of data and try to insert in the CRM software. So at that time, this is very useful for you to use this database.insert method. Now I think everyone is clear with what is the insert function, how you insert your data inside the Salesforce or the debugger console. Does anyone have any doubt regarding this? Does anyone have any doubts regarding this? Can anyone please confirm? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the statement code you can see and watch it. Now after this, guys, now we are going to talk about which will be our next statement, and that is the HTML statement, which will be the update, delete, and other or undo. So how we are going? So now I'm going to write here a some function which was used for updating our. Right now here you can see it's not doing it, we are just inserting it. Now the second most important thing in DML is update, like how we are going to update a particular thing or a particular object in the. So updating a thing is not very tough. It is also one of the easiest things. So for updating, we need to use our class. So let's see how we are going to update our particular tabs. Let me just first come. And for this, I want all of you to create this class in your particular database. Then this is going to work because I'm going to use some function of this class. So if you don't create it a function, just give me a second, guys. Uh, Sorry for the disturbance. So we are going to use some function from this class. So it is very good, all of you. So first you created this class in your particular system. And I think I already shared this class to you in the last class in the chat box. If you don't get, I'm just going to send it again to you. So this is the first 17 line of code. And if you're trying to rewrite the same class, you are not going to copy the old thing. Remember what you need. You create your own class, whatever name, and if you want like my insert data class like this, then try to create a class like that. Then this way. First create a class like this, and then when you created the class, remove everything. And then what you need to do, you need to copy the first page script, and after that you need to copy the line. So this is from line 70, line to 30. Send this to all of you. So here you guys will get all the code for here. And if you want that the same class, what you need to do first write the data class. Same class, and then you need to write four methods. Right? Let me just re-clarify all of them. So the first method is for setting a list of accounts in the particular object. After this, we have a record, like you want to do list of a record with the function insert account, and this is insert account. Remember, this is account and this is account. This is After this, you want to get all accounts. All the done. After this, you have filled all accounts here. All accounts. Now let's try to execute some math of class. Right now, this class is three rows. Right now, and here this method is actually a step by the code and that was what it was three account. So right now, the call inside a number or even and can I to call calling this get out after this dot and after this what I need to class check okay is my voice clear right now? Am I audible to all of you right now? Can anyone please confirm? Okay, thank you. So here you see what I did. I'm just going to see that this get all account function, which was retrieving all account and assigned to a list of a collection. And I'm going to see that this is going to work or not, or whether I'm able to see it not. So what it was retrieving name phone from account. So let's try to execute this particular piece of code and see what we are going to get. So if I click on execute this time, here you see the execution was done this time successfully. And now if we click on the debugger section, let's see what we are able to do. So here you see we are able to print these piece of information from the debugger console. Like here we have get different information like name, age and other things. Now this is how these functions is actually working fine without any problem. And now I'm going to call one more function and then we are going to see the update matters. So if I come again on the here on the same thing, let me just close this. Now this time I'm going to call this function or you can say this get account size. So this is also going to return the account size of a particular system. So I'm just going to call this again. Let's copy this line again here, paste it. And this time instead of get all accounts, we are going to get all account size. So get all, just removing this code. And in the place of this, I'm just pasting this get account size. And it was going to return the size of the particular account. So what it was going to do, first it was going to store all the values inside a list and then we use the account.size list method to get the list. Now if this time if I try to execute this, the execution was again going to successfully, and if you click on the debugger section this time, here you are able to see the size which is 28. Now that means our class is working fine without any problem. Now let's come to the update part of this time and let's see how we are able to update our code. Now as a challenge for all of you, I want you to create a test class for this and see how many bugs you are able to find, because this particular methods had many bugs. If you try to perform a test class with different test variables or with different test like methods or different insertion techniques, you will find there are many problems inside every function. Try to perform here a test class, create a test class and try to see create test methods and try to check every method with different value and see that these methods have some bugs or not. Okay, now come to the next part, the updation part of our code. Here let me remove all of this code and now I'm going to update our database elements which was stored in our particular system. So how this was going to happen? See, updation is also a very important thing in our particular system. So first we are just going to create a new account and then I'm going to update it. So how I'm going to create it? First I need to write the object name where I want to do this in accounts. Then the object name like new one equal to, after this you need to use a new keyword to create the instance of the class. After this the new keyword, what you need to do, so again need to just simply give the account which will this information, your data value or type new account, and here we are actually going to pass the value after this new which we are doing for account, and here we need to pass the value which we want to store. Now, if you need to remember correctly, here you can pass different values. Like this time, I'm storing again some values in my this section. So say this tab, and this time I'm going to store account name or account site or phone number. So these are the three values this time I'm going to pass here. So how I'm going to pass this? Let's see. So if you see this account name is actually name here. So I'm just right now don't know what is this account name. So I need to write this account name actually properly or only name. And then I have account site, which will be I think only site and then phone. But if you have confusing about the field name, what you need to do, you need to click on the setup icon to see the setup of this particular thing or the data field value. Then come to the object manager. Here you found your accounts. See, whenever you are a little bit confused about the field name, don't try to do anything. Don't try to give wrong name. Just come here. So account name is name as names. So let me copy this thing. Control C. Come on here on developer console, and here I'm passing this value. So control V name, and now name equal to. Here it was a string value, so you need to pass inside of it. So I'm passing name equal to Aditya Dubey. Aditya Dubey. Okay. So now I'm just passing the account name, which will be the Aditya Dubey. And now after this, let's see what value I'm going to again pass inside this. So let me just share this tab again. Okay. Now this time what I'm going to pass after this account name, I'm going to pass, sorry, I need to pass three more values here this time. So first is account name. The second is I'm going to pass is this site, account site. So copy this thing, come on the developer console, share this tab. After this, we need to pass the account. But here is the complication. If you see the last exam correctly, you remember how you are going to pass two different parameters inside. So when you pass the first parameter, what you need to do, you're just not going to do anything. Just give here a comma, then the second parameter value which will be site, and after this you need to specify the site. Now, if you remember correctly, site is also a string value. Site equal to like www.salesforceorg.com. Salesforce org.com. So this is my website, which I just here putting here in the site section. So right now, if you see, I have two values inside this account, and I'm going to insert all of this. So how I'm going to insert this? So this time, actually, I'm going to use function. I'm not going to use the insert statement because I already created some function. So how I'm going to use this function? So if you come here, you can see here I'm going to use this insert data.class to insert this value inside our particular system. So first of all, you need to write the class name to use static methods. After this, what you need to next, you need to call the particular method name which is going to do this performance. So here we are going to actually inserting a list of accounts. So that's why we are going to use this, the first method, which is insert account. So I need to copy this insert accounts here, or not insert accounts. Actually, we are only inserting a single information or record. So just write here insert account, control C, because right now we are only passing a single value. So we are just starting insert account. We're actually not taking any list. If you write the first function, you are going to get an error like it wants a list of value. So right now we don't have actually list. We are only passing some records like on a single term. So insert dot class after this dot operator and then the function name which will be insert dot account. Now this function also required two parameters. Now if you come here again and see the function, it requires a account parameter. And here what you need to pass, you need to pass the instance of the account which you just created. Like here you can see this new one, and this is going to pass here. So this new one is the instance or the object which was created, which was actually holding these two values, these two records. So here I'm passing this thing this time, and after this just put here a terminator and done. Now when you write these parts, you are able to simply execute all of this thing correct. Now if I click on execute this time here, you see execution was done again successfully. And now if we come on here on our Salesforce, and if I share this tab again, and if I just refresh this grid again, here you can see if I just go a little down, here we get Aditya Dubey, account site, Salesforce org, and we store. Now, what I'm going to do this time, guys, I need to update this piece of information. So this time, what I'm going to do, I want to update accounts. Now, where this update is going to work? Suppose there are multiple people working in a company or any other field, and they want to change their phone number. So they are suppose in your college, all of the students get a message that whoever want to change their phone number or anything can apply or can say. So what they created a simple website where you can go and give your number. Suppose what was happening there, whenever a user gives their number, he need to give two things. Suppose ID and then number. The ID is working as a key and the number is working as a value. And what we are going to do, we have different and we created a map, have different IDs and different keys. And what we did, then we just simply pass all the values inside the database using these type of functions. And this is very useful when you want to store a bulk of information inside the database. Now this is where we are going to use the update function. And now I want to update. So if you want to update this through here, you can just simply click on this pen direction and you can update it. But let's see how we are able to update the piece of information using our debugger console. So if you want to update this, you need to come on the debugger console, and here we need to write a new method, or if you can say a new function which was going to update. So update, and here what I'm going to do, I'm going to update this site to salesforce.org to xlr.com, and let's see how this was going to happen. So if you want to update account, you need to get the ID, because you have two options. Either you can update account with a valid ID. You need to be a ID. If you don't have an ID, you are not able to do it. So for updating account, you need to get a valid ID. And how you're going to get the valid ID? This is a question here. So for getting the valid ID, you have two options. Either you can go to this account session, and for this Aditya Dubey, you need to get the valid ID. For this, I need to come on the query data here, and here from I'm just going to run a query which was going to give me some information like select here, select after this ID, select ID, name, and from where I want fetching this data from account, from account. So for updating a particular ID, a particular database, you need to first to get the ID of the data. Because if you have the ID, the updation part become very quickly or very slow. Very smoothly and very fast. So now if I click here execute, here you see we get an ID which was unique. And if I just scroll still a little bit down, here you can see we will get this ID. Where is the Aditya? I need to search for Aditya. Okay, so here I'm just going to name the order by clause to get this name in a ascending order. So order by or here I'm going to put a limit of 2 only, limit of 5 only. Now if I click on execute, okay, so the spelling is wrong. Order by it was by default descending. Just remove this. Now click on execution and see what was going to happen. Okay, order by, here we need to specify the where order by name. Okay, click on execute. Now the query was executed successfully and we execute the order by name. And when I just do this, you see I'm just going to get Aditya on top. I don't need to search this. And what I did one more thing to get the specific result like order by name. And after this, here I am specifying limit to 1. So if I specify limit 1 and then if I execute this, everything is going to work finely, but this time we are only going to get the latest result when you do this thing, order by limit 1. So here we get this result and I need this ID. So right now I'm just going to copy this ID which is for Adit. Now I get this ID and now I need to update this thing. So for updating, first of all I have this ID and now let's see what I'm going to do this. So I'm going to create one more object for this class, this account class, and this object is going to update this particular thing. And let's see how this was going to work properly. Is this going to work smoothly or not? So let's create another object, and this time let's try to put. So here I'm going to write the same statement, this one, control C, not the same statement actually, this statement only. Okay. So right now I'm just copying the same statement from here, and after this I'm just going to paste it here, control this. Now this is my account new one, account name is equal to Aditya and site is equal to salesforce.org. Here you can see I'm using right now name and this. You can have two things. Either you can specify, I have two ways to do the same thing. Either you can specify the name or ID and then update. Like, but if we did the same thing without ID, let's see what will happen. So I right now I'm specifying name is equal to Aditya and site is equal to salesforce.org. So if I just want to specify, and right now I'm not going to change, I'm just making this name the same and change the salesforce.org to www.xlr.com. Now let's see what was going to happen if I just don't specify ID and try to run the same code without any problem. So if I try to run this thing and this time I'm going to get here a problem, or you can say a little bit problem. So for running this we need to use the method or the DML query or the DML statement, which is the update method. So here I need to write the method name directly, which is update method. Update. After this you need to specify the object name, which will be this. So if I write here update new one, let's control C, and here if I paste control V update. Now if I try to execute this again, the whole code, let's see what we get. Here you can see we are going to get an error on line 5 column 14 exception. Okay, so here I'm going error actually. Okay. Now this is not going to give error. Let's execute this. Okay, right now we are going to get error on line 4 column 9 that duplicate field value. So here you see when you try to update a same value, but this time we are going to get an problem because we are getting that this is a duplicate field value. So if I just change this field value something else, suppose to new one and try to do the same thing, let me just change this field value to new one, and here I am going to do the same thing. And now if I click execute this time, let's see what was going to happen. Here we get a problem here on line 5 column system DML exception update field. Here we see we get a message that updation field. First exception on row 0, first error missing argument ID. ID not specified is an update call. Remember, whenever you want to try to use the update method, you need to specify the ID. If you don't specify the ID, then this is not going to work properly. And you supposedly or very highly chance going to get an error for this thing. Like this part is not going to work successfully. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, instead of doing this, I'm just going to change this name thing to a ID thing. So here I need to specify ID, and this here we need to specify this value. See, when you write a ID, it will become blue because right now we are specifying a unique value, or you can say a primary value. So here ID, then ID equal to, here we are writing ID equal to, and here I need to pass the ID which I just created. So control V, not this new one actually. Our ID is this. So let me just copy this piece, control C, and this ID is going to paste it here. So now let me just paste it here. Okay. So now we just passed this ID and tried. I'm going to try this again and see what was going to happen. Now if I click on execution, everything was executed successfully and we get our result. Now let's come on the here and see does this actually work or not, or this Salesforce ORG converted to a different one, or you can say xlr.com or not. So now see if this time if I just refresh this, here you can see there is a problem. Actually this Salesforce.org is not converted, but it will just create one more object. It will create it a new particular type of record with xlr.com. It was actually not update this. See, this has happened because we actually used two different things. Okay, I think this one not showing. Okay, so here you can see if in this screen you can see there are two different records created instead of updating the Salesforce org.com to xlr. So see, update is also going to work like insert if you created two different objects. Like this time you created a different object. That's why we are going to get this error. So when you So when you try to create a particular statement to update, at that time you need to remember one thing, that you are going to use the same object name for updating the value which you use for inserting the value. So you need to use the same object. If you create a different object for this thing, then it was going to work, this update is going to work like an insert function, and it will simply insert this data inside the system. Now after this, what we are going to do to update this? So instead of new one, I'm just going to remove this thing here, and this time you see we are not going to get it. And if I click on execute, here again I'm going to get this error on line 4 column 9, duplicate failed, new one. Now why this was actually happening, and this is a little bit complicated note, but this is a very small type here, a mistake was happening. Does anyone able to identify what is the mistake? That's why we are getting this new one duplicate value. Does anyone have any option? Okay. Now guys, suppose if I just try to execute this line, instead of executing this piece, if I just try to execute this piece of line, only the highlighted part, let's see what will happen. So if I click on execute highlighted, we are not going to get that problem. And if I come again on in this section and share this tab, and if I just this time refresh this page, here you see we are actually able to manage perform nothing. This time actually was nothing. Both thing is having the same. Okay, actually both is XLRC. Wait a second. Share this tab. Just give me a second. I need to refresh this value. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, let's just come again here. Okay. Just see the debugger console first. Debug, open next tab. Let me just give a second, guys. I just need to see this thing here. I think there will be a small problem. Okay, so here you can see nothing was actually happening. We are not actually updating anything. Why this was happening? See, update is not like here happening. But what happens if I put here some other value? Instead of this site, if I give here some other value like phone number. So suppose here now I'm going to specify phone. For this time I just need to delete one. Okay, just give me a second, guys. Okay, dev console. So here I am, this time I'm going to pass here phone number, and phone will be something. So phone will be like 4 5 like this thing. And then I'm going to pass one more value here after comma, which will be rating. So just giving here the rating. Okay, phone will be enough. And now if this time if I try to execute this, let's see what was going to happen. Does we able to update this time or not? Because in the last time we are not going to get any information. Everything fine. Now this time if I'm click on execute again, here we get to okay execute highlighted part. Execute highlighted part. Our code was executed successfully. And if I come here and share this tab and come on the accounts again, and here right now I'm an account, and here you can see both accounts has the same data. But if you see one of the account has actually changed its number, the phone number which we specified for XLR. So this piece of information was actually changed this time, and the name was changed from here to the Salesforce org to XLR.com. The first one was actually changed, and we are also able to update this value. And this is how you are going to update any value in the particular section. If you see this section, we actually pass here this number, and we are able to see that number also. And we just simply update this value, this Aditya Dubey, which has a site salesforce.org. Now after this, we have other functions also which we are going to use for performing these type of operation. Like here you can see when you come on the account, you always need this value to perform these type of ID. If you don't have a specific ID, or if you have a wrong ID, you're going to get very much wrong information. So you need to always get the ID by this particular method, select ID name from this order by, and you're going to get everything. But this time if I remove this limit section, you can see we are going to get two different results. So if I click on execute, here you see we are going to get Aditya Dubey here, and then we are going to get different values here again. Here you can see we have different values, XLR and XLRCL input text. So this time this is working fine, and we have developed everything which we require. Now let's come to the next DML operation or DML query, which is our delete query. So let me just come on to the developers thing, share this tab, and this time I'm going to write a new query which was used for updating or deleting a record, or if you delete a record by mistakenly, you are able to get that record also. So this is a query which you use for, and this query is going to only work if you don't created the class, otherwise not, because we actually first calling a method. After this I'm going to use one more thing here, how I'm going to update a list of value. Like this time actually in the first case I'm just updating a single record, but here I'm going to create a list, I'm going to insert it and then try to update that thing. So let's see how I'm going to do this. So first I'm going to create a list which was going to hold some data, or which was going to print some data for me. So here update a list of account for me. So first let's try to remove this piece of code. I don't want that. Let yeah. So here we are going to update our list. Update. After updating the list, what I need to write here? I need to write here the query which is going to update this list, and how this is going to work properly. For this, first you need to create a list, and if you remember correctly, first you need to specify the list keyword after the data type. And if you remember here we are using this account as a data type, AWCOUNT account, and now this account is working here as a data type. After this you need to name this list. I'm just making this my list, name it list, my list, and then you need to use the keyword new keyword to initialize the instance of this list. So after new, this time what I'm going to do, inside this list I need to give some elements, and what I want to inside this list, let's see. So this list account is storing some particular value, and these values are something different. Now here you can see actually I'm not going to write here name, because if you see here I have already account object here and I'm just accessing this. So list account my list, instead of new keyword I'm directly going to call the query inside this list. So for writing a query directly into the list, what you need to do, you need to open the square brackets, and now whenever you write anything inside this, the compiler knows that whatever you're writing is a SOQL query, and it was going to work for like that. So here I'm going to write a query which is going to give me some information from the particular, or you can say select ID phone number from account. So I'm just going to get this information. So I'm writing the select ID name from account, or actually I want a piece of information like this information. Okay, so select ID name from account, where here I'm just going to write a new keyword where, and let's see how many of we have. Okay, so I'm going to access all the information, all those tables which has actually a phone number and to select ID name from ID name, and after this phone also select ID name from a phone from account where number is available. So we are going to check if the number is available, then we are going to get all the value, otherwise we are not going to get value. Where number is, okay, so we are just going to get this thing where number, where phone is, where phone is not equal to. Okay, if you write guys correctly, remember correctly, can anyone tell me which keyword, which operator we use for checking other a value is not equal? Does anyone remember which value we are checking? So right now, if I want to get all the values which has the phone number of, like here where phone number, like if I write here, let me just write here, where phone number is not equal to, or you can say is not null. So what we are going to do, we are going to use this is not equal to 0, or we are going to use phone equal to not null. Can anyone have any answer? Right now, see what I want in this query. Let me just go and see this thing. First, I'm going to tell you again after a few times why we are writing this query. Just give me a second. Okay, let me just remove this thing. Select ID name, phone from account. So if I just simply execute this query here you can see we get all the information. Here we get different phone numbers for everything. But if you see there are different accounts which don't have actually phone number. So I don't want these piece of information. I only want to print those information which have phone number, and those who don't have is not going to appear here. So I want all of you to write a query like this. But instead of here, I'm just going to use a different thing because I need to just update. So where, and I'm going to here use the in keyword. So where in, and here after this, if you remember, in is actually matching for the accurate thing. So after in, you need to specify the brackets, and inside this bracket, you need to pass the strings which you are checking. So here I'm just going to check some values whether it was available or not. So just going to check these values and then try to update these things. So where in, if you want to check multiple things and if you only want to check a simple thing, you directly use a new keyword where name. So like you can use in keyword to match multiple things or store multiple values inside this list, or you can use name to store a single value. So where name equal to, I'm using this edge communication. So let me just copy this thing where name equal to control plus C, where name equal to string. So where name is equal to edge communication, and let me just first complete this query, and also I'm going to check the phone number for this particular person. After this, I'm writing here a keyword more, and let me just make it big here, and phone equal to double inverted comma. Inside this, I need to specify the phone number for this person, and the phone number is this. So I need to copy this also. Control C. Okay, when you're writing the phone number, like see, if I try to execute this thing, you see we are not going to get, we are going to get all the results for this as communication. And now what I'm going to do, I'm storing this information inside this list and try to update this piece of information. So first, I just write this query here, which was going to fetch this data. So if I just write this select ID name and control C, if I just put it here, it was going to fetch that data correctly. And if I just terminate this line here and show you that this will actually work, so if I just print system.debug, and if I just print this thing, my list, you are able to see these piece of information was actually stored inside this new list which we created, which is a data type of object. Now, if I click on execute this time, here if you see, if I click on execute, here you see everything, we are going to get an error. Let me just create this thing and click execute highlighted part. So here you see the highlighted part executed successfully and we get everything. And now if you click on the debugger section, you see we will get all this information here which we are actually getting from the account tab also, which we are getting here. So now this we created just a simple list which was right now storing some multiple values. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to update these values this time. But first I'm going to insert these values inside the system. So here we have this part, and let's come to the debugger section. Okay. So here I need to write the code which was going to update this list. So how we are going to update the list, it is a little bit tough. So updating a list is not very tough. For this I'm going to use the for loop here, and inside this for loop I'm going to retrieve or fetch all the data which I'm actually accessing here, and then I'm trying to update that thing. So here first I need to write a for loop. So here comes the after this. So for, and here comes the statement part. So for this loop is going to be for this account object. So for account, first of all you need to write the data type for this account, and after this you need to write the local variable which was going to work as a retriever. So the first part is the database, the second part in the for loop is the local variable which was going to retrieve or which was going to fetch all the data which you want to look. So here account is the data type and ACC is the object or the variable which is going to retrieve every object or every information from this particular my list section. So after ACC, you need to give here double quote, double column, and here you need to specify from where this was going to fetching the data. So it was going to fetch the data from this my list. So first is account is your data type, ACC is the object or you can say the local variable which was used for fetching the data from the list. So ACC after double column and you need to specify your list. Now what this loop was going to do, this ACC object is going on this name phone from account where this value and it was going to both section. After this, what we are going to do, we are going to try to update these things this time. And this is see how this will be easy when you are using a loop. Now after this, you need to write here the loop body. So if you want to loop write body, you need to come here, open this curly brackets, and here we are going to update. So for updating, we are going to use the object name which is the ACC dot, and after this, we need to here write. Now if you have a doubt, this time what we are going to write? We are going to write my list or we are going to write the next thing. So here you can see after ACC, you need to write the thing which you want to update. So right now I want to update the name section from here. So ACC, and here I'm just going to give ACC dot name, and I'm trying to update this thing. This time, if you see this name is equal to H communication, and I'm going to change from H communication to a different name or whatever I want. So ACC here name equal to just giving here a new value like my own communication, my own communication. And after this I'm going to change by edge communication, change by edge, my own communication, change by edge. So we are just naming this thing, this name from a normal to my own communication, change by edge, and this is the information we are updating. Also I'm going to update one more thing here. This time I want to update the mobile number which I want, but here I'm not going to update the mobile number. Instead of I'm going to update a value which was not available here. So I'm going to update the value which will be the rating. So ACC dot rating, and rating should be a different thing, or you can say rating ACC dot rating. And here I'm just going to change this rating to hot or cold, whatever it wants. And I'm going to also print this thing in the query when we just completed it. So ACC rating will be hot. So equal to, here I just need to give here hot, equal to here the double quote hot. After produce in here, just give me a second. Okay, that's good. Here the dot. Okay, so now these two pieces are done, and now we need to update this. For updating this, you again going to use the update keyword, or you can say the update function easily. After this, you need to get outside of the loop because the loop work is done. Here we need to write the keyword update. After this, what you need to write? Update after what you are going to update? You are trying to update this time my list. So here comes the main problem. What you are going to write here? You are going to write here what thing? The accounts or the my list. So basically, in simple term, if I tell you, you are going to write the list which you are trying to update. So we are trying to update my list. So if I write here Control V, sorry, F3, I need to write this. Okay, update my list because I'm updating this list. So here just remove this thing, update my list, and this piece of code is done. And now if we run this code, we are going to get our result very smoothly, and we update all of this thing very easy way. So now if this time if I try to execute this, let's see what was going to happen. So just going to remove this update actually, which we don't want right now. So removing this. And now if you just remember one thing, I need all of you to remember that the phone is this time, this edge communication phone is 512 and this. So I'm just going to copy this piece. So we are going to remember and see the what is the phone number. So Control X. I'll come here again. And now if I click on execute this time, you see we are getting an error on line 3. Okay, we are getting line 3. Okay. Let's try to execute again. Now this time our execution was again successfully here. Everything was done. If you come under debugs, we are able to see this information which we just printed. Now here comes the main part. Now what happened if I just execute this thing? Select ID name from account where name is equal to H communication, phone is equal to this. So guys, if I execute this, here you can see we are going to get this thing again. Let me just refresh this actually. Now if you see, if I just refresh this grid, we are not going to get any information for name is equal to H communication and phone is equal to this, because this is the same query which we run. If we run, we will get in this type of information. But this time, if you see, if we are running the same thing, here we are getting name is equal to H communication, but this time we are not getting this result. If I just try to run this thing again, we are not going to get any information. But if I just remove this piece of information here, and I did where phone equal to this and execute this. Now here you see we get this value, and here we get my own communication changed by edge. So basically it means that we are able to change the particular or update the data using a list. So what we did, first we store the information inside a list, and then we use the update for loop to fetch every data one by one, and then we just simply update the name by out. If you remember, we also update the rating. So if you click here on also name, phone, and rating also, so we are also able to see rating. Now this time I click on execute. Here we will get the rating which we just updated here hot. And you can update anything from this piece of code if you want to update anything. Like this time, if I just change this phone number also, suppose I'm just going to change this phone, Control C. So if this time, suppose if I change this phone number, ACC rating, after this I come here and add ACC dot phone, and it should be like something different. If I give here like here 1 2 4 5 7 8, like this I'm giving here. So I give here a value for phone also, and let me just copy this, because this time I'm going to fetch the data using this phone number. And now if I click on execute, you see everything was executed successfully. And now if you come again on the accounts object here, and if you refresh this grid, you see it was refreshed. So that now okay, it was not refreshing. Let me just rewrite this query again once. Control X. Okay, just close this account tab. Okay. Now if I click again on execute, sorry, if I go query, if I here write again a query this time and try to execute this, let's see what we are. So here you see when I try to execute this time, you see we are actually not able to update our phone number, which was just same here. But why this was actually happening? So if you come on the logs, you will find these type of information whether this thing is actually happening or not. So here you see first, let's scroll a little bit down, and here you get name Aditya Dubey. No, this is here. Here we are fetching this ID, select ID name from account where storing these value. After this, here you can see duplicate detector, and here you go a little bit down. And here comes the main part. So number of SOQL query run because we are fetching data. After this, here DML operation was actually running one operation. And there is some problems which due to this we are actually not able to execute this. Let me just see this code again on the debugger section. So we are actually passing acc.phone equal to this. Let me just, I think phone is an integer value. So let me just change from my integer value like this, then try to execute this. Illegal integer, okay, saying that this is the illegal integer. And just try to put a new value inside this. Let me suppose this will work properly. Okay, this will maybe work properly. So let me just copy this line. I'm just going to print this piece of information this time. So execute highlighted. Okay, executed again successfully. This time everything is smooth. Let's try to run this query again and see that this was going to give us the same result this time or not. So if I just click on execute this time, it was actually happening properly. Oh, wait a second, I just need to check one more thing. Debugger section. So if what happened if I copy, because I think due to some reasons we are actually not able to change this piece, but I just want to see one more thing. Actually, we are able to change the name. So if I change this piece of information like this number, and instead of this, if I paste this and click on execute, And here you see, due to some reasons, we are actually not able to update this particular piece of value, because this is the main part. This acc.phone is not actually appearing, and this is what I'm trying to tell you, that sometime when you try to update or insert some type of data, due to some reason, maybe the way of typing, I just make it wrong. That's why I'm not able to insert this data inside the database. So due to these problems, maybe this was happened, that we are not able to insert that phone number inside our particular computer, and this is the problem. So now here you can see, when I write update my list, this time we are actually not updating any list. If I change this rating from again from hot again to cold, like cold, if I change it from cold, and I change from my own communication to only my communication, and if I try to execute this thing again, I'm not going to get successful. So if I click on execute again, see, everything was executed successfully, and the place of, if I just remove this and just try to from accounts, and here if I click here and try to execute, now you see everything was executed successfully, and here you can see get my own communication change as. And we also created one more thing. If you come on the debugger section, you will find we also created this my own communication. Let's see that this particular piece of information was created or not here. So if you scroll a little bit down here, you can see actually we are not able to create my own communication also. Now why this was happening here? Because you see, this is the main problem which was happening when you make a small mistake like this. Due to some reason, this acc.phone value was not actually stored in the computer or the database. This is a problem which we right now don't know, and this is actually happening due to data type or the way of formatting, like which in which way this particular piece of phone number is going to store. And due to this reason, we are not able to store this, and when this is going to happen, we are also not able to update our list. But what happened if you use another method, the database method, then this problem is not going to occur. So if I use the database.account update for information, here if I use the database dot update. Now if I use this database update, and instead this particular method is going to take two parameters. The first parameter is the list or the value which you want to update. So here we are writing database my list. After this, the second parameter you need to pass here is the parameter which you want to check. So my list, then here I'm first going to specify false. So let's see what happened if I specify database.update my list false. Now if I specify false, if there will be any problem here, we are going to get and see the error on our screen. So account, and here I'm specifying false, and let's try to execute this step. See, this time if I try to execute this, everything was executed successfully. And if we come on the debug section this time, here you can see in the debugs, we are not actually printing anything. Like, oh sorry, we are not actually need to come on the debugs. If you come here a little bit to scroll down, and if you just go down, and here you can see we are actually need to check something. Okay, query. See, this time actually we are not able to see anything else. But what happened if I try to run this code again and see what was going to happen? So if I execute this thing again, here you can see my own communication change by age, Burlington Textile Crop America, Dixon, and everything is going to some look like the same thing, and nothing happened. So when you make this database method, or you see this database false, everything is going to work like the same way which was happening. This update my list false. But because here you specify false, means if there was any mistake was going to happen, nothing was going to store. But if you make it true, and then if I try to run this piece of code this time and click on execute, now this time the code was executed successfully here. And if we go again on the debugger section this time, sorry, debugger, instead of if I run this query again, execute, let's see what we are going to get. Here you see my own communication change by age, and we don't set change anything. But if I just scroll a little bit down here, you can see still nothing was going to happen, because we actually don't change anything. If you see, the rating is right now hot, and if I just change this rating, here you can see I'm changing this rating to cold, but this piece of code is actually not working right now properly. I just need to refresh this page. Just give me a second. I think there is a problem, that's why it was not working properly. Okay, just give me a second, guys. Okay, actually due to some problems, let me just refresh this grid. I think you're able to see here. Okay, so here you see actually that particular piece of information was executed here, not in the place of there. And we see we are also able to create different accounts from that thing. So we are able to update a list also using that particular you can say the update. We get that list in a particular list. We store the list. I store the data inside a list by using a query. So we use the query to get the list and then stored inside a list, store that piece of information inside a list, and then we use a for loop, and inside that for loop you need to create a local variable which was going to retrieve all the data, and that data is going to actually execute, or that data particular loop is going to actually retrieve all the piece of information. Let me rewrite the code. I think I just copied that thing. Here it's come. Just give me a second. Okay, let me just write it. Control X. Here, and this is the piece of code which I am talking about to you right now. Like this account, we actually write the for loop where account is the data type, ACC is the local variable which was going to fetch everything from the account, which is this particular list. And here we use these two things to change this thing, like ID, name, from, and here. Now, this is what. So send the code. Okay, I'm just going to send all of the codes to all of you. Just don't need to be worried. Just give me a second. I'm just going to send all the codes. Wait a second. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, this is good. Okay, so this is the whole code I'm going to send you to all of you, and this is going to work for all of you properly. So this is the codes which we are going to run. Let me just check everything is going to fine. Okay, this is going to work. Okay, so facts. So this is the code you are going to use to update, insert a function, insert an element. And remember, if you want to run this code, if you run, you need to also use the class which we created, because here you can see we are using that class. If you don't use this, then this is going to throw an error to you. So before doing this, please create that thing. So you are not create the class, so you are not going to get any error. Just give me a second, guys. I need to drink water, then I'm going to start. Just give me 2 minutes. I just need to drink water, then I'm going to start it again. Why did not it update before the phone object? See, updation is little bit crucial because updation requires the ID, and also in phone. See, whatever happened, whenever you try to perform updation in the system, if you make a small mistake, like if you make a small mistake, if you're updating three objects, and inside the three objects, if there was one object is wrong, then all the three objects is actually rolled back, and transaction was not completed, and you are not able to update. So this is why you need to be make sure that whatever you are trying to update is right way, like the format is right, and whatever data you are inserting inside there is the right format, like these type of information. Okay, right now we are going to see the next thing which we are going to follow here. So let me come to the developer screen again. So these are the piece of the post here. So let's, if you see this, this is the same code, and if I run this thing again in the front of you, let me just copy this line. Actually, we are not want to do this. So if you see this code, what was going to happen? First, I'm going to only run this code, this piece of information. So first you see here, this is the same code. You need to run this piece of information, and then you need to run this, and you are able to see everything was updated successfully. Now try this code by your own self and see what type of is forwarded. You can see the results. Now let's to see to the next DML statement we are going to talk about right now, and that is the delete and undelete operation. Now delete and undelete operations is little bit more easier than the other two. So if I come again on the download section again, here we are going to talk about the delete and undelete operations and the DML operations. So delete and undelete is also very useful, and it is sometimes very much useful. So let me just write the delete and undelete operation, and let me just explain to all of you. So here I need to write the code. Okay. So here let me just rewrite this thing again. So here you can see we are using deleting using database method database.delete account. So here we have different methods, and we are going to see every method one by one and see how these are actually work. So how we are going to delete all accounts delete. So here you are seeing where I'm getting list account where I'm selecting ID from account where name like test accounts. So here you can see I'm using this term like keyword and I'm matching the test account. So if you come here and if I share this tab, here you can see we have different type of test accounts here. So right now I'm matching like keyword to match all the test accounts where like test account is going to be matched. And I'm going to delete all these test accounts from the particular, or you can see the from the account object. So list account where select ID from where name like test accounts is going to work. Now if you just run this query on the query editor, you will see that you are going to get all the piece, all those information, or you will get all those particular records which is having the name test account. So if I execute this thing, here you can see we will get multiple things, and here you can see I'm only getting ID, select ID. If I just here write comma name also, so giving name here, shift name, you will also able to see the name this time. I'm just using ID because if you want to remember, if you also want to delete, you need to be the ID. If you don't have the ID, you are not able to do it. So right now we are actually deleting all of these queries or all of these records from the database, and we are going to see how we are able to do this. Wait a second. Just what is this? Just give me a second, guys. Okay. Just give me a second. Let me just refresh this thing again. Okay, let me come here. Okay, so rewrite the code. Just remove this thing here. Okay, so if you see this time, we are actually trying to delete all the accounts. So as you already see that this query is going to get all the test accounts. Now here we are using delete using DML statement. So we are using this all piece of information using this DML statement. So now if I just run this piece of code again here, what was going to happen? See, both is going to work properly. Either you can use delete account or you can use this database.delete account. So both has going to work properly. So now if I just try to run this piece of code, you see we are able to delete all the accounts or all the particular test accounts which are going to work. If I click here on execute highlighted, see our code was again sending a request and the request was sent successfully, and here we are able to see the view content. Now if I open the debugger section, if I here you see it will get a success result. Now how we are going to get that this is going to be a success? So if I open the execute anomalies tab again, and if I just copy this query, let me just copy this query again, and if I just try to print this query again, control C. After this, if I'm just trying to print, okay, I can show you like this in two ways. First way, I'm going to here print a message system.debug. I'm going anywhere else, system.debug. Actually it was already deleted, so what I needed to do this, so just copy this query actually. Okay, so if I copy this query, control C, come to the screen here. If I click on the query editor, and if I write the same query here this time and try to execute this, see now you see we are not getting any ID or any query because we already deleted all the accounts which has name as test account. If you also come to the main CRM software, and here if you just refresh this page again, you see you are able to delete all the test accounts which was created here. The same way we are also able to delete different other things. But before, let me just come here and show you some other steps in this also. Now after deleting, we have one more option, get deleted account record. How we are able to get all the accounts which was deleted and how we are able to get back those accounts. So here if you remember, we just deleted all the test accounts, and now I'm going to try to retrieve all the test accounts which we just deleted from our database. And let's see how this thing is going to work properly. So if you see here, get deleted account record. So first what you need to do, you need to create a account or a list which was going to store all the deleted accounts. So here, whenever you delete something, that thing was not actually completely deleted. It was going to the Salesforce WRT recycle bin for a temporary period of time, and after that it was completely deleted. Same way, if you see here, what we are doing, we are writing a query, and here this query is very useful. Now if you run this query like here, is all true. So select name phone from account where is deleted. So is delete is a keyword which is going to work very fine. So if I just let's close this tab, if I just write this query here, if I write this query is here instead of this, select name phone from account where is delete is equal to true. So wherever is delete, because in the object we have also a section is delete, and in this section all the data which was deleted was available there. So right now we are trying to see that data. Now if I click on here and this time execute, you see we are not getting anything. We are not getting any rows and any column. So here we need to get all the rows and all the columns which we just created. For this you need to write your code all rows, then you are able to get that piece of information, otherwise not. Because here if you see in this same query we also write the same thing, that all rows, then you are going to get all rows which was deleted recently or which was deleted and which was stored which was available inside the particular, you can say, the recycle bin. So all rows, and now if I click on execute, here you see unknown error phrasing, we are getting this here unknown phrasing error. Let me just check why this we are getting. If we are getting this error, then the query will also not work properly. So let's go here to the section again. Okay, actually I'm not able to work with these statements from yesterday also. Just give me a second guys, I just need to check this thing. Just give me a second. I need to see the logs actually. Maybe in logs I will get the some. Let me just execute this thing. Unknown error phrasing query. Okay, we are getting unknown error phrasing when we are writing all rows. Let me write like this, all rows. Okay, so there will be. Let me just give a second. I just need to check this why this was happening here. and I'm getting this message unknown error present. Wait a second. Check. Well, let me try to re that. Okay, I just don't know why we are getting this problem actually again. So this is an unknown error phrasing query. Okay, we are going to get this thing again. I just don't know. This was actually not working properly. Let me just see, does we have any other option for this or not, which was going to return. Okay. Okay, so actually I think we have a limited support. So actually I have the problem. I think I identified the problem. This is not going to work here, but what happened if I like this? Just give me a second, guys. Okay, so we are actually list account. Okay, let me just try to print here. Okay, I'm going to write here a code again. System.debug. System.debug. And just try to print this list actually. System.debug, and I'm just going to print this deleted accounts. So if I just copy this thing and put it here, control V, and just put this one. Okay, actually sometimes these all rows and the statement was actually not properly worked in the SOQL query due to some unknown phrasing error, or otherwise it will work. If you want to work like this, it will be going to work properly on the workbench. It was not going to work on the queryator, like this is null or like that type of value. But if we run this thing in the developer console, it was going to work. So what I did here, I will just write here system.debug, and I will just print this deleted account. Now, if I just click on execute this time, okay, I'm getting unexpected token. Okay, actually I need to execute highlighted. So here you can see when I just run executed highlighted, everything was executed. And now if you click on the debugger section, here you can see we are actually able to get all the accounts which we just deleted, all the test accounts which we just deleted, and we are able to see this. Now what we need to do the next, we are going to retrieve all the accounts and trying to store this. So how you're going to do this? For undeleting an account, you need to just write undelete, delete accounts. And then when you write undelete and the list name, which was actually storing the list, it was just simply undelete everything. So now if I just execute this highlighted part again here, execute highlighted, in the first attempt, if you remember, we just simply delete all the records, but this time we are able to actually get all the things correctly. So if I just name right from account where, if I just remove this thing, and if I come again on the debugger section again, open this tab, and if I just rewrite this query again, which was going to show all the names, all the test accounts. So if I just copy this thing, Control C, and if I paste this keyword here, let me just cut this thing out here from once. Okay, so if we just cut this thing, I'm just going to press it here and click on execute. And here you can see this time is still okay. I need to refresh the grid actually here. So here you see when I just refresh the grid, I will get all the deleted account which I just written. And here I'm only getting ID because I just don't specify the name. Now if I just specify the name here, I'm going to get all the names of this section also. Now here you can see we are going to get all the names and the ID which we just deleted from the delete function, and we just undeleted everything using the undelete function. And if you just refresh, you are also able to see all the information in your test account here also. And this is basically how simply you are going to delete and undelete the records from the particular DML statement or the debugger console. So this is what you are going to use, and you can use all these things. Let me just send all of this code to you. Try to run this thing on the particular Apex and see how this is going to work. Okay. Now we are going to see. So now the next thing which we are going to see is the next part of this particular console and the main part of this thing, which is the advanced SOQL queries, like how we are going to perform advanced operations. Like advanced SOQL query is like aggregate functions, which was having different other properties like having clause and other things. Like still we are only using the where clause, and this is the last part of the database, which is advanced SOQLs. So let's see what is actually advanced SOQLs and how we are able to perform advanced SQL tasks. So first we are going to see SOQL aggregate function. Now what is actually an aggregate function? So suppose if you want to get a count from accounts, like how many counts. So suppose if I'm right now here, if I come again on the query editor this time, let me just remove everything. So here we are going to talk about the aggregate function which was available in SOQL, and we are going to see everything. So if you want to get a count of all the available members or all the available things, like how many particular things was available, so how we are going to do this? For this here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rewrite remove everything. And here the first thing I'm going to write is the aggregate function thing. So here I'm going to use the aggregate function, which will be select. After this you need to write the method name, which will be count, and here you need to specify from where you're counting. And let's run this code and see what is the result we are going to get. So account. Now if I click on this time execute, will be giving a wrong thing, actually ACC. Okay, so now if I click on execute here, wait a second, why I'm getting this unknown tracing error again? From account, let's execute this. Okay, so here you can see when you use this function, aggregate function are the special function which will give us the more results, or it will give us the accurate information or the rightful information. Like here you can see you have the count function which was going to give us the count of all the records or all the tables which was available inside the particular account object. So this is very useful in getting the information of like this. So you can also use this thing also, but aggregate function is having some other role also, not only this role, but they have some other important role also as well, which they are able to perform. Just give me a second, guys. Am I audible to all of you? Can anyone please confirm? See, the basic use of aggregate function is to perform calculation, or you can say mathematic operation on the particular, or you can say on simply the rows or tables or objects. Now the first method which we have is the count method. Now let's see how many other methods which we have and how we are going to perform all these methods. So after count, the next method we have is the, let me just give, okay. So after count, the next method we have is the count ID. So right now you can see it was just going to tell you the count. After this, if you write here count ID and specify, it also take a parameter. Like here, if I specify ID, it was going to count all the IDs which was available in the thing. So if you write count ID, it will give total rows 1, because count ID has only one row, and count ID will get this thing. In the place of ID, you can specify anything. Like if I specify phone here, so phone, and you can click on execute, and you are able to get all the information of phone. So total rows, 1 row, and count phone will be 18, means 18 record has the information of phone. After count, you have one more function in this, that is count distinct name. Like, what is this count distinct is going to do? So if you write, if you give here a count, and after this if you give a underscore, and here you write distinct. Now when I write this count, and after write, if I write distinct, then let's see what this was actually going to do. So distinct is actually very useful by when you have duplicate value in your public in your particular object. So here distinct is having properly work. Actually, I need to write it properly, capital words. Okay, and here you need to write a well. So here I'm going to pass name, because I want to check from name actually. So name and now here you can see count distinct name 27. So there are 35 rows, and inside 35 rows we are only getting 25 rows which having distinct name. Now how this possible? So if you come on the first thing, and here I'm what I'm going to do, select, and here I'm just going to print some information like name from account. Select name from account, and if I click on execute, here you can see we are getting different name. We are 35 name, and here we are only getting in the this query, or if you see this query, we are only getting 27 distinct names. Means 27 name is different. Other name has duplicate value. Means we have 7 name which has duplicate value. Now this is also very useful sometimes. Also, you are able to use two different things together. Like here, if you see, okay, okay. Okay, so this is the code. So here I am also able to use multiple queries together. Like here you can see this is saying select count distinct name. Also, if I try to execute one more query like this count ID, so I am also able to execute two diff aggregate function together. And how this was going to work? After this count distinct name, what you need to give? You need to give a comma, and you need to write the second thing, which is count ID. And now if you click on execute, this time we are able to see both things. So here we are getting count distinct name and count ID. So we are getting 35 and 25. So you are able to perform multiple aggregate function together also to get different result. After this, we have some other methods which is very useful. Like suppose I am going to check this time a math function. So here I am going to check select sum. Now we have methods sum, max, and others. So select sum, and here you need to close this bracket, select sum. After this, close this bracket. After this, you need to specify from where this sum is going to perform. So select sum from, I am performing this in a table which was right now inside our database, which is opportunity. So if you just scroll a little bit down, let me just show you where is the opportunity table. And the opportunity table is having different views. So if I come here, okay, share this tab. If you come on the object manager, here you will find there is a where would we have? Let me just show you opportunity, opportunity. Okay, here you see this is the opportunity here. Opportunity, you can say the object, and this object has different data types available. Like it has account name, amount, and this is very useful because when we have account, we are able to perform different type of things. Like it has amount, opportunity name, opportunity owner, order number, price book. So it has some values rather than price tracking number like this. And we are going to perform some math operation, or you can say math types of operation here. So here I am performing some amount. So some amount. So we are actually adding all the amount of the sum, like how many amount was available there, and we are just going to print that piece of information. So we are just printing amount from opportunity. So that's just right here from opportunity. Control X. Let me just put it here. So we are performing some amount from opportunity. Let me rewrite the opportunity correctly. So here writing opportunity. And now if this time if I execute this, Here we are able to get the sum amount also, that what is the total amount of the opportunity is, and that is like this. Also with sum you have also one more or some different aggregate function, like you have max also. So if you write select max, what it was going to do, so as sum was basically add all the values and it will give the final result, the max is going to give us the max amount in the particular opportunity, which will be 951. So select max amount, and if you want to know from where this will work, to select after this you can also specify name, like name comma max account, and if you click on execute this, let's see what. So here you can see field must be grouped or aggregate name. So here we are getting this thing. But what happen if I write select name after this? I write this max account like this. Let me show you. Control C, Control X actually, from opportunity, and here I am going to use where keyword, where max amount, where the amount is max, where max amount. And now if I try to execute this, let's see what was going to happen. See, we are getting unknown query errors where equal to, so we are equal to max amount, and execute this again. And here you see we are going to get tracing error. So if you want to get the result, you need to be either grouped or other it was not going to work properly. And we are going to see how we are able to group this thing with a normal query. So but in the starting we are just going to see some basic aggregate function. Like sum max, we have also one thing which is min. So if you run this min aggregate function, you are going to get the minimum value of the amount, which will be 15,000. So there are different other function which we also have. Like we have average, and we have one more thing. Like here, if you write in the place of min, write avg, you'll get the average of everything also. So if you click this time, you will get the average. Like here you can see we have these function, and this is very informative, very useful when you are dealing with the object which has data like price, amount, like these type of things. Now we have multiple functions. Like if you want to execute multiple things like this way, you can also work. Let me just show you. You can get all of this information in a single click by not using multiple keys. Like you can just write all of this in a single, like select some amount, max amount, min amount, average amount from opportunity in a single line. And if you click here, you will get all the piece of information from the opportunity. Like these are the value you are going to get. And this is how these piece is work. These aggregate function is work. This aggregate function is very useful whenever you deal with mathematical operations. Now after this, the next thing we have in this is the having clause. And having clause is very important. So let's just see first. So how we are going to see the having clause. So right now I'm just going to write a having clause code for you. Then we are going to end this class. So if I come on the debug console here, query section, here let me here having clause. So now having clause is actually used for aggregating the things or grouping the things. So here we are getting the sum of amount where sum is greater than 300. So wherever the sum is greater than 300k, or you can see like this sum is like unit 10, 100,000, 10 lakh, like 9 lakh 15,000. Now I want to get all the sums where the basic, or you can say value is greater than this. So how I'm going to do? So for this I need to write a query, which is this. Let me just write this query for which I already written to. So here what I did first, I write select the stage name, which will be the stage name or the name of the, then some amount from opportunity. We are getting this from opportunity, and here this we are using. So where amount is greater than 3000 group by. So here when we use this group by keyword, we are able to use this particular thing. So whatever thing you are using, if you are using your name, you can use the name here. Like instead of if you want to use print your name, you can use print name also. But for how you're going to do this, you need to here specify this thing also, like group by clause. You need to give the group by clause and the name which we are grouping this particular information. If you just don't hear this group by clause, you are going to get error here. So if I execute this time, here you see we are getting field must be grouped or aggregate. So here you need to be grouped by this group by clause, then this is going to work. Now if this time we execute this, here you can see we get the stage name, which is the name of the person, and here we are able to see the amount. And this is how you are going to the group use the group by clause to aggregate two things or get two values very easy. This is also very useful when you want to deal with big data to get specific. This is all for today. Let's meet tomorrow, and tomorrow we are going to see the new things in SOQL. The talk about the triggers, and then we are going to talk about the frameworks which we need to create projects. Have a good day, all of you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable class. We'll meet again by tomorrow. Okay, so dear students, can I request please mark your attendance without any fail. As I am repeating every day, please don't come and tell like we have not informed it, as 60% of attendance is very mandatory to get the certificate. You have to mark your attendance only with one mail ID. If you mark your attendance with one mail ID, definitely you will get the certificate. If you secured 60% or above 60% of attendance, you will get the certificate. Okay, so the materials I'll be going to uploaded in the LMS dashboard. Okay, please be waited by tomorrow. I'll be going to upload it. Okay, fine. So yeah, we are done for the day. We'll meet again on tomorrow at 7 p.m. So thank you all. Thank you for joining. Good night. Have a great day.